Radio enjoys a large number of listeners in the United Kingdom. There are around 600 licensed radio stations in the country. For a more comprehensive list, see List of radio stations in the United Kingdom. BBC Radio. The most prominent stations are the national networks operated by the BBC. BBC Radio 1 broadcasts mostly current pop music output on FM and digital radio, with live music throughout the year. BBC Radio 2 is the United Kingdom's most listened to radio station, featuring presenters such as Chris Evans and Terry Wogan, and playing popular music from the last 5 decades as well as special interest programs in the evening. BBC Radio 3 is a classical music station, broadcasting high-quality concerts and performances. At night, it transmits a wide range of jazz and world music. BBC Radio 4 is a current affairs and speech station, with news, debate and radio drama. It broadcasts the daily radio soap The Archers, as well as flagship news program Today. BBC Radio 5 live broadcasts live news and sports commentary with phone-in debates and studio guests. The introduction of digital radio technology led to the launch of several new BBC stations. BBC One Extra broadcasts rap, R&B and drumnas. BBC Radio 4 Extra broadcasts comedy, drama and shows which extend or supplement popular programs on its sister station, Radio 4, including the Archers spin-off Ambridge Extra and archived episodes of Desert Island Discs. BBC 6 Music transmits predominantly alternative rock, with many live sessions. BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra as a companion to 5 Live for additional events coverage. BBC Asian Network is aimed at the large South Asian community in the United Kingdom. The BBC also provide 40 local radio services, mainly broadcasting a mix of local news and music aimed at an older audience. Commercial radio. Also available nationally of 3 national commercial channels, namely Absolute Radio, Classic FM and TalkSport. As with the BBC, digital radio has brought about many changes, including the rollout of local stations such as XFM, Kiss 100 and Kerrang Radio to other areas of the United Kingdom. Commercial radio licenses are awarded by Ofcom, a government body which advertises a license for an area and holds a so-called beauty contest to determine which station will be granted permission to broadcast in that area. Stations submit detailed application documents containing their proposed format and the outcome of research to determine the demand for their particular style of broadcast. Original 106 was the last radio station to be granted a license by Ofcom. Most local commercial stations in the United Kingdom broadcast to a city or group of towns within a radius of 20 to 50 miles, with a second tier of regional stations covering larger areas such as northwest England. The predominant format is pop music, but many other tastes are also catered for, particularly in London and the larger cities, and on digital radio, rather than operating as independent entities. Many local radio stations are owned by large radio groups which broadcast a similar format to many areas. The largest operator of radio is Global Radio, which bought the former media group, GCAP Media. It owns Classic FM and London's most popular commercial station, 95.8 Capital FM. Other owners are Bauer Radio and UTV Radio, which mainly owned stations that broadcast in highly populated city areas. Many of these stations, including all the BBC stations, are also available via digital television services. Community radio. Community radio stations broadcast to a small area, normally within a 3-mile radius, and are required by the Act to be not-for-profit organisations, owned by local people, on which the broadcasters are mostly volunteers. They are recognized under the Communications Act 2003 as a distinct third tier of radio in the United Kingdom. The community radio movement in the United Kingdom was founded in the mid-1970s, broadcasting through restricted service licenses. The Internet and Cable and Access Radio Pilots scheme gave 15 stations, including Resonance FM and All FM, 5-year licenses. And this has blossomed into a lively sector, overseen unofficially by the Community Media Association. The broadcasters predominantly serve an easily defined racial community, such as Asian Star FM in Slough, or a geographically defined community, such as Spaysound Radio and the Bay Radio. They can also serve religious groups, such as Christian radio station Branch FM in Yorkshire. As well as this, they can also be linked with universities and student unions who run the stations under a community license. For example, Demon FM in Leicester, Scratch Radio in Birmingham and Spark FM in Sunderland.